Hello, we are back for number three.
Three?
Yes, we are back for number 3, Musings on the Vine. Again, I'm Rory Traynor. I'm a seminarian for the Diocese of Manchester, and this is Killarney Traynor, author, writer, screenwriter, director, all-around smart person, my sister. Big fan. Don't let it go to your head. And of course, Monsieur Lacquac is still with us,
Yes.
as always, watching over us, making sure that we do things right. Today we have something that came to us on Facebook. It wasn't actually a question. It was something that I saw on Facebook. I sent it off to Arnie. I was like, hey, can we comment on this? Because I think this is important. Especially in light of this COVID-19 crisis. If you're viewing this at some point later in the future and we're past COVID-19, as people who are all locked away in their buildings and not able to go to church very much, so there's a lot of people who are trying to find ways of understanding what their faith is like in this time. And so this thing's been going around Facebook and it's bothered me a little bit. And so I'm just going to read it to you, and I'll try to read it slowly and clearly so that you can get it, and then I'll let Arnie comment. It says, just to be clear, the church has not been closed, so it doesn't need to be reopened. We have simply stopped worshiping in our buildings for a time to protect the health and well-being of our people and our communities. The church does not require a building in order to be the church. What is required is love, compassion, and the presence of God. And it'll show us up in this thing, this rainbow sort of thing.
It's very pretty, yeah.
It is very pretty, right? It's sort of like
if I was a kid, I would have wanted a shirt that looked like that.
Exactly, right. No, I mean, before I comment, I'm gonna go ahead. You go first.
Okay, you sure?
Oh, please.
Okay, so we should make it clear that we are not suggesting that people disobey their bishops or their church leaders and go to the church right now. We obviously don't want people getting sick.
Exactly.
And they are right, in a way that the church, the Catholic Church, is not closed.
Right.
We are definitely not closed. We're still around. However, there's this tendency in these posts like this to say that we don't need a gathering space, we don't need a physical building, and we don't need.
Right. Almost like it's like we could just use a conference center as opposed to right, having a church or something like that.
Right. Or we could just say we're Catholic and worship in our separate spaces and never see each other again.
Yeah.
And that would be great.
We're not now. If you posted this, we're not saying that's what you said. We're just saying these are some implications from something like that.
Right. Because I've seen a few others and stuff, and it's definitely a trend that I've seen. Anyway. So I did have a few thoughts on this, and one of them was, I was reading a very big book the other day. You may recognize it. It's called the Bible. And
I've heard of it vaguely.
Yeah, it comes up from time to time when we go to church. But in Exodus, which is the one with the 10 Commandments, which commands us to actually put aside a day for the Sabbath day, starting at chapter 25 and going all the way to chapter 40, are the instructions on how to build your own Holy of Holies or prayer tent. Essentially the first church of the Jewish religion, I think, anyway.
Yeah, that's right. That's fair.
But this is really detailed, extraordinarily detailed, how many cubics to make everything, and how to weave the curtains, and then how to make the tassels that go at the end of the curtain. So, and it's 15 chapters. Yep. It took me forever to get through because I'm not a carpenter. I'm not into curtains or tassels. It was a long time, but it was very detailed. So somebody thought it was important to have a central gathering spot for the Israelites while they were out in the desert, even though they were all living in basically a tent city together. So it was very, very important.
Right.
So I think that's really interesting that the second book has this. The other point I have to make is, first of all, if you're Catholic, we're talking about the real presence, which I'm going to leave to you because you're the resident expert on that.
Thank you so much.
But if you're not Catholic, or even if you are Catholic, there is a great good in gathering together. Where two or more gather together in my name. The fact that, I was thinking about this today too, and this is kind of not really PC, but the fact that I'm here, that I'm a woman, and the reason why women were created was because God said it was not good for man to be alone, indicates that we are people who need community. And we need to get together and we have a space where we can practice and celebrate together. Yes, you can pray at home with your family. You can pray by yourself. But the fact is...
In fact, you should.
Yeah, you definitely should. But you and your family probably agree on everything. It's good to go to a church where you're with people who are different than you, who have different thought processes, different backgrounds, different jobs, to get together and see, oh, God's bigger than all of that. The Catholic Universal Church thing.
Exactly.
So that was kind of my impression or takeaway.
Yeah. And actually, a quick note on top of that, like one of the major complaints, I forget who it was. I think it was when Robert Hugh Benson was converting. He was a Anglican priest, came from a big family, like a high end and family in England. His father was like the Bishop of Canterbury, so like very English, very British. When he converted to Catholicism, his mother said, I think, it wasn't so much that he was becoming a Catholic as it was that he would be worshiping with the help. And so it's like a sense of like everyone's going to be worshiping in the same place. Like whether you're high, low, doesn't matter. You're all in this together. So as Catholics, we all worship together. And I think that's kind of where I want to start. As Catholics, it's not for us to just say, we're not just going to praise and worship on Sunday morning. And that has its place. It certainly does. And there's an aspect to that, what we do. But the most important thing about what we do is the Eucharist. But what that really transcends is why the Eucharist is always attached to the Mass, and maybe we'll do a video about this later, is the sacrifice. What the Eucharist is, it's the partaking of the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross, which is made actually present at each Mass, right? So Jesus Christ offered on the cross at Calvary in Jerusalem so long ago is present. That's what we do in the Mass. So what Jesus did 2,000 years ago, in some sense, is repeated and done again in the sacrifice of the Mass. So my hurts, my problems, my feelings, all of me, all of my issues, all of my joys, all of that can be offered up in the sacrifice of the Mass. So that's why for us, it's not just about gathering together as a community. It's about actually partaking of this. And the building itself is designed to help it. So like there's the nave, right? Which is sort of has the sense of being like the gathering space. It was sort of built like the hull of a ship in most places in New England. The building itself is usually shaped like a cross to be a greater symbolism of the cross. The main sanctuary area usually facing east, so that when the sacrifice was offered, it was always offered towards the rising sun and had the sense of, as Jesus Christ, the Son of God, rose, so did the church with it. And so there's all these pieces to it, and then the paintings, the statues, all these things add to our work. If you go into just a white building, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a white building. But when you go into a Catholic church, you recognize, especially in New England maybe, I can't speak other places, but really any place in the world, you realize these were probably poor craftsmen who put their time, money, and talent into this. Like I think the cathedral in Manchester, New Hampshire, was actually built by mill workers, and they would go after their shifts and go and lay brick for the building out of love for the church. So this actually means something to us. These people actually built it with their blood, sweat, and tears. So it's not just a building for us. Another token to this is we are tangible people. So the Eucharist is bread, right, which gives us physical nourishment, but it's also spiritual food. So it's this both and. And I think whenever I see a post that kind of says something like that, where it's like, we don't really need to be in church, it's like, okay, sort of yes and sort of no. But it's like, you really kind of need the church building, and that's, you also kind of don't. The church is kind of dead center. It's kind of like, yes, we need this and this. Why don't we have both? That's the great Catholic thing. It's like, oh no, we don't need to just do this or just do that. It's like, you want to do prayer meditation? Great. You want to do loud worship? Absolutely. You want to have incense? Wonderful. You want to not have incense? That's fine too. It's like we do everything. And that's the great thing. So we have active, like, religious orders that are very active in going out into the world. We have religious orders that are very contemplative and spend time in prayer for the church. So it's always this both and that's the beauty of it. So yes, we have to be locked away for COVID-19. That's very sad. But we will come back to the building because the buildings are important. The church itself, so the invisible church doesn't go away in this just because we aren't in the physical building. But we shouldn't forget about the physical buildings just because we are away from it.
Right.
It's this both and I think that makes for a well-rounded Catholicism. It's like, yes, let's do all of it. Let's do all of it and everything.
Because I was asking somebody about that. I said, why do you think we need to go to church? And the person said, well, you can drink beer at home, but it's more fun in the pub. And I thought, really?
There's no party like a Catholic party.
There's no party like a Catholic party. I know it sounds a little backwards, but there's something to be said for we have this space. I remember when we were doing this film shoot, and everybody came on set in their ordinary clothes, but it was a historical piece, so everyone got dressed up in these, evening, like these set. everybody, whether they were playing a mill worker, a maid, or a fancy person at a party, walked different because they were wearing better clothes or different clothes. It's the same thing when you walk into a church. It's different.
It should be
It
different.
should be different, and it's necessary because
This is not your living room. This
No.
is like, because the sacrifice is so real and so present, you literally are going before God. And that's the beauty of it. So we do want to get back to the buildings. We absolutely want to get back to the buildings. Pray for that we can open them up at some point soon. But parish in Manchester, it's open from 8 to 5 every day. So you can if you're not near Manchester, you can catch the live stream anytime. The live stream is always on. So you can look at the sanctuary. But this matters to us. It means something to us. It's beautiful and wonderful. It's tangible. It's sacramental. It's spiritual. It's everything. Oh gosh, I love this stuff so much.
I know, it's awesome.
Yeah,
This is why we're
this
Catholic.
is why we're Catholic. We love this stuff. And again, it's not to diss any Protestants. We love our Protestant brothers and sisters.
Oh,
but
yeah.
We're just not Protestants. So I mean, like, but actually, we do hope that at some point in the future to get a Protestant on here, and actually, we're going to find a topic and we're going to talk to them. So actually, if you come up with any topics, comments, thoughts about us to talk about, we actually have a Jewish friend as well. We want to get her on at some point too,
Yeah.
and we want to do some conversation. So if you have comments about something else you want to know about Catholicism, something else you want us to muse on, if you're enjoying these, if not, that's fine too.
If you disagree with our opinions, tell us
Also
why.
give those too. We
Yeah.
want to see all that. Comment, share, like it if you do, and but also, like, if you come up with any topics for you want to hear from a Protestant, like what would this mean from a Catholic perspective? Like, what does a Protestant believe in X, Y, and Z, or what does a Jew believe about this and the other thing? We'd love to have those conversations. So those things are probably going to be coming down the pike at some point soon. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you next time
And we look forward to seeing you in church.
in church.